Part 5, Chapter 5. The word is Salam. Is like the sky. Is Salam is not the discernment of the essence of high or low. How can there be enunciation of the point of the word is Salam, which annuls the manifestation of the unmanifest? The Sufian, such as thou self is, prove to you self is indeed that devoid of adjuncts and the same in all. Why do you, who are the identity in all, grieve in your heart? If you are identity in all, if you are devoid of above and below, within and without, and of even the sense of unity, then why do you, who is the identity in all, grieve in your heart? There's no discrimination of rules and precepts. There's no cause, there's no effect. That which is the identity in all is without words and without the collection of words. Why do you, who are the identity in all, grieve in your heart? There is no knowledge, there is no ignorance, there is no practice of concentration, there is no space, the absence of space, and no practice of concentration. Why do you, who are the identity in all, grieve in your heart? There's no pot, there's no individual body or individual. There's no distinction of cause and effect. There is only the state of freedom, which is Allah, and undifferentiated, which is devoid of the distinction of short and long, of round and angular. Why do you, who are the identity in Allah, grieve in their heart? Here is the only one, without void and absence of void, without purity and impurity, without the whole and the part. Why do you, who are the identity in all, grieve in your heart? There's no distinction of the different and the non-different. There is no distinction of within and without, or the junction of the internal and the external. It is the same in all, devoid of friend and foe. Why do you, who are the identity in all, grieve in your heart? It is not of the nature of disciple or non-disciple, nor is it the discernment of the difference between the living and the non-living. There is only the state of freedom. Allah, the undifferentiated. Why do you, who are the identity in all, why do you grieve in your heart? The absolute is without form and formlessness. The Almighty is without difference and non-difference. The One is without manifestation and evolution. Why do you, who are the identity in all, grieve in your heart? There is no bondage due to the fetters of qualities labeled good and evil. How shall I perform the actions related to birth and death? There is only the pure stainless being, the same in all. Why do you, who are in the identity of all, grieve in your heart? Here is the self, devoid of existence and non-existence, of desire and desirelessness. Here is verily the highest wisdom, identical with freedom. Here is the truth, undifferentiated by truths, devoid of junction and disjunction, since it is the same in all and devoid of all. Why do you grieve in your heart? Here is the divine, devoid of association, devoid of disassociation. Unlike a house cottage or a sheath, here is the divine, devoid of knowledge and ignorance. Why doest you grieve in your heart? Change and changelessness. Change and changelessness, the definable and the indefinable, are untrue. If the truth is in the self alone, why do you grieve in your heart? Here, verily, is the wise being who is completely the all. Here is the Sufian being who is the all-comprehensive and undivided. Here is the conscious being, alone and immutable. Do not grieve in your heart when you have knowledge of the self. It is ignorance to see difference in the same. Doubt in what is beyond doubt is ignorance. If there is only the one undivided wisdom, why do you grieve in your heart? There is no state of liberation. There is no state of virtue. There is no state of vice. There is no state of perfection and no state of destitution. If the same being is devoid of cause and effect, division and subdivision, color and lack of color, why do you grieve in your heart? The Sufian self is here in the divine consciousness, which is Allah, and undivided. Sufian is here in the divine consciousness, which is absolute and nothing. The Sufian is here in the divine consciousness, which is devoid of men and other beings. Why do you who are in their identity in Allah. Grieve in your heart. The self transcends all. The self, the Sufian, is indivisible and all-pervading. The self is free from stain of attachment, immovable and all-pervading. The Sufian is without day and night and all-pervading. There is no coming of bondage and freedom from bondage. There is no coming of union and separation, reasoning and disputation. Here is negation of time, unwind and even the atom of fire, but no negation for the absolute self. Why you, Sufian, who are the identity in all, grieve in your heart? Here is the self devoid of body and disembodiment. Here is verily the divine self, devoid of dream, devoid of deep sleep. Here is the Sufian, devoid of name and injunctions, pure, vast, and the same like the sky. The self is the Sufian, in all and devoid of all. The self is the divine being, divested of essence and non-essence and change. Here is the self, which is more than dispassionate to virtue and vice, to substance and non-substance, to desire and desirelessness. Here is the self, the Sufian in all, which is without grief and grieflessness. Here is the divine without happiness and sorrow. The absolute truth is devoid of teacher and disciple. Verily, there is no offshoot, essence, or absence of essence. Neither is there movable nor immovable, sameness nor variety. The self is devoid of reason and unreason. Why do you grieve in your heart? Here is the essence, the concentration of all essences, which is said to be different from one's individual consciousness, to be the instrument of perception of objects, is unreal. Since the Vedas have declared variously, like this universe made of ether, and the like is like a mirage. And since the self is one, indivisible, and the same in all, why do you, who are the identity in all, grieve in your heart? Where one knows nothing, there is verily no versification. The supreme and divine one, pure of thought, absorbed in the consciousness of divinity, settles with the absolute truth. As we see, if we have been tuning in, Allah is the self. Self and Allah are one. Peace and eternal love in K.O.S.